Well, hello YouTube. How are you guys doing today? Hope you're all having a pretty good day today. It's beautiful weather, no rain, about 85 degrees and some really pretty skies. Today I am at Preacher Ant's Hatfield's old home place. This is where he actually lived. You know, Preacher Ant's from the Hatfield-McCoy feud, and the hog trial occurred here. That's what that sign's about. And also Ellison Hatfield was stabbed here, as a matter of fact. But that's not why we're here today. We're not actually here about the feud. Today we are doing a Lost Lives episode, which is a series that we enjoy doing, where we highlight a lost life of someone that had something interesting happen to them, or if a viewer reaches out and asks for something that we can potentially help with. And it's always a gamble, you know, of course, if we'll find anything. But one thing does always come of it. We all leave with a little bit more knowledge than we had yesterday. Sometimes we're able to bring the viewer right up to the site and maybe even find a few relatives that they didn't even know they had, while other times, you know, you can't find anything. What happens today? Well, I suppose we'll find out shortly, won't we? First, let me read you the email that we got, and you know, you'll see the tie-in why I am here at this old cabin today. Here, let me go up and just have me a comfy seat on the porch. How cool is this? Old log cabin. Okay, now here's the email. Hi, I've enjoyed watching several of your cemetery walks and other videos on your YouTube channel, and I have a challenge for you. My 2X great-grandfather, Thomas Granville Farley, 1839 to 1911, lived on Blackberry Fork in Pike County, Kentucky, along with many of his brothers and sisters on neighboring properties: Allie, Jim, Lewis, Monteville, John, Vicey, and Nancy. I only know a few things about Thomas Granville, but I do know he was a member of the Old Pond Primitive Baptist Church, and Elder Preacher Ant's Hatfield ordained him as a deacon of that congregation in September . Sorry, we need a little muffler work. I only know a few things about Thomas Granville, but I do know he was a member of the Old Pond Primitive Baptist Church, and Elder Preacher Ant's Hatfield ordained him as a deacon of that congregation in September of 1891. I found this in Mates Creek Association records. According to his death certificate, he was to be buried in the Varney graveyard. I would love to know if there's any legible tombstone for T.G. Farley that still exists, and which of the two Varney cemeteries that show up in Pike County is he actually buried at. I live in New Mexico. His brothers, Allie Farley and James H. Jim Farley, made it easy to find their tombstones. They're both buried in the Julius Scott Cemetery and have easy-to-read tombstones. Thomas was the oldest brother, and I can't imagine that his younger brothers and sisters wouldn't have purchased a tombstone for him or his own children. So that is my challenge: finding my 2X great-grandfather's grave. Thanks, Jared Farley. Guess where I'm at today? Guess what I'm doing today? Well, Jared, and I'm going to assume you don't mind me using your first name. You know, at this point, we know your family, you know, and all this good stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume we're on a first name basis here. So, you know, everybody else out there, you know, feel free to say hey to Jared. But anyway, so as everyone knows, right, the best place to start is usually at the beginning. Thomas Granville Farley was born December 27th in 1839 in Pike County, Kentucky. I would assume very near this spot right here on Blackberry Creek. His parents are Samuel Farley and Matilda Taylor Farley. He was one of at least 12 children. In an 1850 census, Samuel, his father, is listed as a farmer. In the 1860 census, it shows him to be 21. He and his family are living in the same area as Randall McCoy from the Hatfield-McCoy feud, which is right across the hill here. A lot of our videos in the area seem to lead back to one family or the other in some way, but this is a very small community, so in reality it's probably not all that surprising. But they are listed on the same census, which they did at times. They would often list several homes on one census. The Farleys also had close ties with the Hatfields, and, you know, obviously the McCoys as well. Thomas Granville met and married Lucy Rutherford on February 28th in 1861. But in 1870, he is a carpenter living near the mouth of Pond Creek, which is this same general area still. He and Lucy have 4 children now: John, Lewis, Harrison, and Jane. In 1880, Thomas is 40, and he has 10 children, ranging from 15 years old to 1 year old. In 1900, they are 60 and still have 4 children living at home with them. Anderson is the oldest at 32, Vicey is 19, Mary is 13, and Cleveland is only 10, which means Lucy had him when she was 50 years old. Sadly, Lucy would die in 1906 at 66 years old. Thomas remarried 2 years later to Nancy Jane Hurley, but sadly that was short-lived because he died in 1911. His death certificate shows he was buried at the Varney graveyard. But we've been doing this a while now, and we have researched countless people at this point. The cemetery name around here is up to the person basically doing the paperwork. Cemeteries are often called multiple names, and some will call it one thing while others will call it their surname. You know, it's the Scott family cemetery, even though it started out, you know, as something else, but because their family's buried there, and so on. We have scoured the Varney Cemetery in another video, and we did not find him. So, let's look at what is most likely the likely, you know, scenario here. When Thomas died, his mom and dad had already passed away. They are buried at the Julius Scott Cemetery, which also goes by several different names. They died before Thomas's siblings, and even multiple children are buried there as well. It stands to reason that if he remarried, it is unlikely that his new wife Nancy would have buried him with Lucy, his now deceased wife. It makes the most sense that he is probably buried with his family. But the only way to at least eliminate that possibility is to go look in person. So my mission today is to go find the Farley family plot and really look at the headstones in person. We're going to go find out if we have actually found him in the other cemetery right now. Now that we really like, doing this sort of stuff because, we're talking about hillbillies, right? People that have moved away from here, their family moved away during the war or whatever the case may be, but it's still hillbilly blood. So, hillbillies look out for each other. Everybody knows that. That's a, that's a well-known fact. Hillbillies stick together. So, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to turn our meager abilities, we're not exactly, NCIS or anything like that. It's just Heather and I. But Heather's a pretty good researcher, and she's a pretty good editor, and I trust her. And I'm fairly decent at, navigational skills, and I'm a fairly decent mountain goat, I do believe, when it comes to getting out and searching these mountains for these old lost sites and lost historic places, lost graves, whatever we're looking for that day. So, this is something that we enjoy doing, and we hope that you guys do too, and we hope you enjoy our little video today. So, I guess I need to load up and head back out. I am looking for a little place called Turkey Toe. Yeah, you heard that right, Turkey Toe. And believe it or not, I found Turkey Toe on the way up. I already know where Turkey Toe is. And guess what? I saw a bunch of headstones. So, there's a graveyard right there. And I know where it's at. So I guess there's only one thing to do at this point, right? Go look. Now this stop right here, this was just a little stop on the way. Something else, Jared, that I just wanted to show you. Yeah, Jared Farley of New Mexico. A little strange. Speaking to, one person, individual, on a YouTube video, but here we are. Groundbreaking, right? Anyway, this right here is the Church of Jesus Christ of Old Regular Baptist, called Enon, Old Regular Baptist Church. Okay? Now let the cars go by. Now this is just right up from the cabin. You can see it right down there, right in the center of your screen. That is the cabin where I was just at, sitting on the porch. That, like I said, that is Preacher Ance Hatfield's old home place, right? This was where Preacher Ance preached. So there is, he ordained Thomas, right? There is a 100% chance that your second great-grandfather attended church here more than once. More than once. The guy who was the pastor here ordained him. So you know that Thomas is going to attend church at his church. You know he is. So now you've got to picture this, right? Your grandfather actually coming here and coming up to this old building. Now this is the same building. It's been updated. It's got new modern siding on it, but look here. I've looked in this before. I've been here before, is how I know this. You can actually see the old church pews still in there. Hang on. I'm going to assume that you guys can see some of that. hopefully see something of the inside. It has the old pews, and like I said, it's got modern siding on it many years ago, but this is the same building. He actually attended church in this very spot. Now, how cool is that? This was just a little bonus that we wanted to throw in for you.
Did you see this was established 1843? Okay.
On the front, on the side.
All right. It's amazing these little places are still standing. In all seriousness.
And we'll head up to the graveyard right here in a second. But you can just picture him walking in these doors. I would imagine there was wooden steps here and probably over here as well that were, you know, that added later. And obviously this isn't that old. So you probably had just a set of wooden stairs here and a set of wooden stairs right there. And a chimney. You can, you know, pretty much imagine an old stovepipe sticking out the top when it was cold, and smoke just billowing out of it from the coal fires, keeping the place warm. And where I'm standing, you can see this was the coal pile. Right here where I'm at, you can still see little pieces of coal all over the place on the ground. This was their coal pile. Thomas being a deacon, there is a really, 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 really good chance that he shoveled coal from this very spot and put it in the fire here in this old church. A little bit of the back history, you know. You never know when you come out to look for these old places, you know, the things that you'll run into, the things you'll find, you know, like something as silly as this. You know, you wouldn't know this unless you come out here and come to these actually come to these sites. There's no way you would, like that, you know, the coal pile. But if you think about it, reasonably speaking, logically, he was a deacon, and there's a really good chance that Thomas came out of this very door at some point, came down right here, got coal in buckets, and took it back in for the coal fires to keep everybody warm during church services. Now, how cool is that? Very interesting. And you could just got a picture, you know, this little field right here without, you know, these houses, you know, none of this here, the boat, the house, you know, the shed, none of this here. And just picture wagons and horses and people dressed up in their Sunday best, you know, the bonnets, the women in their bonnets, and beautiful, isn't it? Just a beautiful image in your mind, isn't it? Okay, let's head on up to the graveyard, see what we can find. Now this, as you can see, is the Julius Scott Cemetery, and very nice. It's in Turkey Toe, Kentucky. How you like that name, guys? Turkey Toe. That's cool, ain't it? And right there's Julius Scott and Polly Sissy Scott. They're right up there, and there's another one right down below it too. So there's at least three feud graves here, and you know, we'll kind of poke around and show them to you. And we are looking for Thomas Granville, or TG possibly. You know, I went up and did a preliminary look around just to see where the Farley plots are. Found a bunch right up here, and I found several more right over there. You know, just looking for the name, you know, Farley, and just kind of walked up, around, and back down, just kind of get a preliminary idea of, you know, where I'm going and what I'm looking for. But Julius Scott and Polly, they're right up there. I'll show them to you when we get there. But let's see. I'll just do this. If any of you want to want to read it, you can pause it. It's Julius, and here's Sissy. It's cool to see, you know, cemeteries well taken care of. A lot of the ones we go to, that's not the case. But I guess let's just start wandering through. Now this one is John L. Farley, 1906 to 1971. Fern Farley, 1912 to 2010. Nice long life, isn't it? That's how you do that. Okay. Noli May, 1915 to 2001. Lawrence, 1903 to 1975. Owen, Thacker, Stanley. There's a Farley. 1897 to 1985, Jack Farley, Ethel Farley, 1918 to 2009. Here's M.C. Farley, August 3rd, 1873 to May 21st, 1972. Wow. Wow. 99 years old. Okay, we'll go around that. There's a whole bunch of Farleys right there to my right too. J.W. I'm assuming this is a Farley. It's surrounded by Farleys. Just says J.W. 1884 to 1899. P.M. 1887 to something. Zero, no. R.T. Farley right there. We'll come back to that. Let's get this older section. Okay, no name on that. Stafford. Stafford. There's a Farley. There's a broken one. Couple broken ones. Nothing on those. RFN. Here's Lewis Farley, 1850 to 1893, and Mary C. Farley, 1854 to 1919. Here's Matilda Farley, 1813 to 1900. Samuel. Samuel Farley, born, oh, deceased, it's a D, March 16, 1876. December 3rd, something. Huh. Can't really tell much about that one, can you? Look at that. Look at that. H. Stafford. But that took some work to make that, didn't it? Okay, we saw that one going up. No name. James H. Farley, 1876 to 1925. Judy Farley, 1872 to 1937. Randolph Darrell Farley, 1935 to 1936, a 1-year-old. Wow. Look at that. Limb of J.L. Farley, buried November of 1936. It's an arm or a leg. Limb of J.L. Farley. Son, Bob F.A. Farley, 1935 to 37. 2-year-old. No name on there. It just says son. Oh, son Bobby F.A. Farley. Okay, I get it. I.B.E.E. Ivy Helen Farley, 1937 to 1938, another 1-year-old. And children. Let's see, Low. Several Farleys, whole bunch of Farleys. James H. Farley, 1933 to 1991. Willie J. Farley, 1897 to 1978. And Vicey, 1899 to 1993. Let's see, what were these again? Scott's. Okay, that's Scott all the way up. There's Donnie Farley. Same year. 3 days. 3-day-old. Grover Lee Moon. World War I vet, guys. Grover Lee Moon. Private, Company 1, 60th Infantry, 5th Division, World War I. February 1st, 1887 to September 21st, 1961. He saw some stuff, didn't he? Phoebe Farley Moon. I like that. That's cool. 1893 to 1983. Louisa Farley, 1885 to 1951. James H. Farley, 1858 to 1927, and Lydia S. Farley, 1862 to 1902. Okay, let's make sure. Yeah, I'm missing some right here. Yep, there's a whole plot. Okay, we got these. Just making sure. Okay, this little plot right here, this is pretty much all Farleys. This is Ella 1888 to 1890. Allie. There we go. Huh, there's Nancy Jane. There's Allie, 1845 to 1920. And Nancy Jane, 1844 to 1930. Let's see. R.T. Farley, 1884 to 1969. Nancy, 1884 to 1948. And this one, there is no name, but there is definitely someone there. And this one is Scott. Look how pretty that is. John Scott and Lydia Scott. Very pretty. Alright. Back to the hunt. Okay. There's a few that are missing, like that one right there. You can see where there's a stone missing. Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm going to swap batteries. Okay. Fresh battery, ready to go again. That's Scott's. Okay, that's the little Farley plot right there. Of course, there's more scattered. Scott. Look at that one. Somebody carved that out. Nancy E. Farley, 1895 to 1965. Don't remember. I don't think it was this row, but I saw some over here for sure. Knocked over. That one says GP. Stanley. Picklesheimer. Here's a Farley. Well, hello. Vicey Farley. Ah. Oh, Picklesheimer. All right. 1880 to 1969. See another one over there too. We'll work our way over there. Staten. Scott. Look at that old stone though. Can't make these out. The feud graves right here are the Scotts. There's Julius W. Scott, 1878 to 1961, and here's Sissy right here. And there's another feud grave right here as well. This is Henderson Scott. Also a feud descendant. Now, I'm gonna check it out. Shot in the leg, huh? Imagine that. Henderson Scott was the 9th child of Daniel and Nancy Stafford Scott and the grandson of William and Elizabeth Scott. He married Vicey Farley on September 15th, 1872, and together they had 3 children, Allie, Parley, and Julius. They made their home at Blackberry Fork in Pike County, Kentucky at the time of the Hatfield-McCoy feud. Henderson was traveling on horseback to Pikeville, Kentucky when he was shot in the leg by someone mistaking him for a member of the other family. He did not live long afterwards and died on May 5th, 1915. His daughter Parley almost became a victim of the feud when she stayed at Randall McCoy's house the night before it was burned by the Hatfields. Wow. Henderson's wife, Vicey, died on March 7th, 1924. They are both buried in the Julius Scott Cemetery. Wow. Real history, guys. Real stuff right there. Okay, up. Which way are we going? Stidham, Stanley, Miller, Anderson, Farley, 1877 to 1960, and Eliza S. Farley, 1881 to 1954. Okay, now, any more Farleys? It's a really cool old cemetery, isn't it? There's a military. Vietnam. Virgil Stanley Jr., Kentucky. SP4 Company B, 37th Signal Battalion, Vietnam, 1943 to 1967. BMS, PH, I know that Purple Heart. BSM, what's that? Do not see any Thomas Granville so far, which is not to say that he couldn't have easily been one of those over there that was laid down, or one of the ones with an old stone. Could very well be either of those situations. Last little bit of the graveyard, down here in this corner. Keep your fingers crossed, guys. This is the end. We'll either find Thomas or we won't. Nope. Ball. Scott, Hensley, Reynolds. Williamson. Anyway, guys, thank y'all very much for coming along with us today on our little investigation. We appreciate y'all very much. Y'all have a really good day. And from the side of a really pretty warm mountainside here out in Turkey Toe, Kentucky, Leo out. We'll see you guys next time.